President Obama's Theology, the theology of President Obama's Christian theocracy. Part 12, the doctrine of Jesus Christ in Black liberation theology. Now, I hope that we are really beginning to understand the President's theology, his beliefs. First about God. Now, in particular, we're going to look at the person of Jesus Christ, because this is what has influenced this man's thinking. After all, you cannot sit for over 20 years under the theology, the preaching and teaching of a black liberation theologian and not expect to have your theological, philosophical, political, economic, and social and cultural ideas shaped in that contextual setting. Again, let's move on and look at this doctrine of Jesus Christ. Cone's intention is to try and maintain an orthodox stand in the Chalcedonian tradition in his understanding of Jesus Christ. He wants to identify it with historic Christianity. The Chalcedonian Creed of AD 451 affirmed that Christ is truly God and truly man. Cone agrees with this, but adds that the role of Jesus as God incarnate was to liberate the oppressed. Jesus Christ, Cone says, quote, is God himself coming into the very depths of human existence for the sole purpose of striking off the chains of slavery, thereby freeing man from ungodly principalities and powers that hinder his relationship with God. Here is where the confusion can be understood. There is an affirmation for Jesus Christ as defined in the historic Orthodox Creed. But the emphasis of his earthly ministry takes on a decidedly Marxist view combined with racial overtones, seeking, therefore, by whatever means are necessary to liberate us from the oppressors. This is Christ's work. This is what he was incarnated for. This is his purpose. Not just some spiritual redemption, but it has to be a real, valid, external ministry that ends with freeing man. One of the more controversial aspects of Cone's Christology is his view that Jesus was, that is to say, Jesus is black. Again, let me quote Mr. Cone. The raceless American Christ has a light skin, wavy brown hair, and sometimes, wonder of wonders, blue eyes. For whites to find him with big lips and kinky hair is as offensive as it was for the Pharisees to find him partying with the tax collectors. But whether whites want to hear it or not, Christ is black. Baby with all of the features which are so detestable to white society, unquote. Cone believes it's very important for black people to view Jesus as black. He writes, again, I quote him, it's very important because you've got a lot of white images of Christ. In reality, Christ was not white, not European. That's important to the psychic and to the spiritual consciousness of black people who live in a ghetto and in a white society in which their Lord and Savior looks just like white people who victimize them. God is whatever color God needs to be in order to let people know they're not nobodies. They're somebodies. For Cone, the resurrection of the black Jesus is a real event. It symbolizes universal freedom for all who are bound or oppressed and downtrodden. It is not just a future-oriented hope and a heavenly compensation for earthly woes, for those who are oppressed, poor, depraved, marginalized by their society. Rather, it is a hope that focuses on the future in such a way that it prevents blacks from tolerating present iniquities. That's the real issue. We must not tolerate these oppressive actions. This is closely related to Cone's understanding of eschatology. The emphasis is on liberation. in time, in space, in history, from oppression. And in this case, in particular, Cone is referring to white European and American racist attitudes because they hold to the principles of free market economy and a Republican concept of individualism, and not the redistribution of wealth through tax schemes by the government who transfers that wealth to those who are the marginalized as they identify them by means of entitlements. This is the real problem. It is one political, social, economic philosophy over against another. That's the real emphasis that's being dealt with here. And that's what we need to understand. As James Cone himself really identifies, the very future of Christianity is in its blackness of liberation. It's an attitude. The attitude in America has been wrong. It's white racial injustice. It comes from both the European and American freestyled, individualistic concept of free market economic policies and practices. It speaks of individualism rather than of the group, of the whole, of oppressed groups, of those who are poor, in poverty. This individualism, this historic, rugged individualism that we see in America, within a free market economy, having the ability to exercise their rights, is absolutely antithetical to black liberation theology. It is the right of the white man that must be changed. This is the right that the president must correct because it is an injustice. It no longer is acceptable, he says. Welcome to the new America. Not of individualism or of a free republic, not in the style of a free market economy, nor anything that identifies or promotes those ideas or concepts. But rather, it's going to be a socialist society by which the state is capable of both redistributing its power as it so desires and the wealth of the people. That equality means not just opportunity, but it means equal results.